And it is also going to be what creates the most damage. In 1 year, if they manage TARP inappropriately in a diabolical way that's against us, they could destroy the crops for one entire year in this country, waterlogging them and causing them to be underwater. I have seen the Missouri River myself go from a normal size to 8 miles wide in 1993 when the floods in the Midwest occurred. And we're talking about a start this spring that if it doesn't slow down, it's going to be worse than that. So we have all these earth changes that are more than likely the weather today, unknown to a lot of these weather forecasters, is actually managed weather. This isn't just natural. This is always managed. And so this is all one humongous game with so many facets and fronts to it. The only way that we can, I think, move forward with any kind of certainty is that we work in communities. And so that's one of the focuses I talk about on the Waterman files, and we talk about it on a regular basis.
I have to say that you're absolutely right. This is an important side corollary to all of this, which is we always think about earth changes as being natural, or a lot of people do at this point. Those of us who are a little bit deeper in the rabbit hole, so to speak, know that this is an orchestrated situation, that our weather at the moment around the earth is orchestrated in large part. In fact, there are weather wars being conducted constantly, and the chemtrails, by the way, are all part of this, as is HAARP. And therefore, when you get an event, you have to always look at the external factors as well as the other things, such as there's an interesting dynamic going on with some of these major earthquakes that have been happening. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Haiti, Chile were on special ley lines that are that go around the globe. In other words, these lines are being activated, and therefore, when you talk about activating a ley line, you're talking about a HAARP or a scalar weapon that is aimed to directly at a certain sort of, think of it as a meridian, the way you would have on a body. It's a pressure point, and pressure is being brought to bear in certain areas of the globe, and even earthquakes in Iran. You're talking about a weather war scenario. And I have to say, I had a special guest on one of my radio shows who's an expert in this area of weather wars. And I believe his name was Scott Stevens, if I don't get that wrong.
Right. Yeah, Scott. Yeah. Scott's former forecaster, I think, right?
Yeah, he started out as a weather forecaster. And there's if you go to ProjectCamelot.org, you can listen to one of our earlier archived radio shows in which I talked to him. Wonderful guest, and I intend to have him on this show also in the future. But yeah, that's what we're talking about. So we're not just talking about something that's going to be natural. We're talking about things that are going to be orchestrated. And I have to say that in Europe, and this is pertinent to the Netherlands, I know, the information that we've gotten is also that there's going to be inundation by water there. Bariska, the child, indigo child.
Oh, yes.
About that. He actually said in 2009 that this event would happen, and it didn't. So we are talking about a moving timeline, and where events that were planned have not rolled out the way they planned them to.
Right. And there's that last-minute potential change of mind or fouling of plan, whether by, it didn't work out because of some humongous effort by an individual that's a James Bond type, or they just kind of postponed their plan. We don't know. But, that does not mean, Carrie, that when we predict or find information that points to a problem that's supposed to happen, when it doesn't happen, we ought to be thankful, but it didn't mean they weren't intending to have that event happen. It just didn't happen for some other reason. And I think that's real important. The other thing is that the notion of what prophecy is really about is warning one of something that's going to happen if our ways of thinking, if our consciousness doesn't change.
if something is slated to happen, then it may actually take place. So there's that aspect. So we have only got a few minutes here, and I know you're going to segue onto your program, and I want to encourage all our listeners to stay tuned and listen in on your guest, because it sounds like a fascinating whistleblower in regard to the Anglo-Saxon mission that we're all very interested in, learning more about. But do you have any last words that you'd like to put here, just to make people aware of that, just right this minute?
Well, I think I'd have to agree with people like Miriam. We're working to try and get people to get in community. We're encouraging people to go to farmers markets and establishing a rapport and a business with your local grower. And not because we can't grow food, but the mass growing people might get affected. And right now we had a sign in our local large grocery store. It wasn't a Walmart type, but it's a large chain, and they're saying they're going to have food shortages, so get ready. And, that's in the grocery stores now. So I'm encouraging people to kind of get their hands dirty, get out there, get some dirt, get connected with some people in your community, and that's something that we're going to be announcing at the first part of our next hour here, and Tobias is going to bring us an update. So I'd encourage people to get involved. That's the main thing.
Yeah, and not just sit back and watch events transpire. And one of the things that people have to also, I think, be aware of is that through meditation and by changing your own vibrations, by making positive change in your own life, you're actually affecting the greater whole. There is the butterfly effect. In fact, there's something called the Lorenzo effect, I believe. And I'm wondering, are you familiar with that? And I know we have no time to go into it, but can you just say yes or no?
Carrie, this is a big topic, and yes, there is an effect on the body. We're now finding that these chips cause tumors in animals that have been chipped now. So frequencies do make a difference, and we can change those. But we have to just actually, one of the best ways to do it is just become active. That makes you focus, that makes you think, and then your mindset starts changing. But we still have to be confident, or we have to know why we're doing it, be motivated. So we have to be kind of smart and kind of balance all this out.
Yeah, and that's very good note to end on there, because I think that the way you live your life at this time is more important than ever for the greater whole. And that's a really interesting way of looking at things. I think a lot of people think perhaps what they do in their everyday life is rather unimportant to the greater whole. But as we're seeing, every person counts, and every person that joins this sort of struggle or this battle for the right, and I have to say it is to some degree a battle on the third dimension here, moving to the fourth. That it's how you think that's really going to change the energy out there.
Well, Carrie, I'd like to end by saying again, welcome to Argusoog Radio. We're really happy you're here and that you have your voice back on the radio. And many, many people are, I'm sure, just as happy as we are. And we just hope that you can continue here as long as you need to and feel you have the need to. So welcome to Argusoog Radio.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. John Waterman. I really appreciate it. This has been a great first show, and lots of activity going on, both in front of the scenes and behind the scenes. And I think we can look forward to some more fascinating shows in the future, definitely. I will be away and out of town on an interview next week, but the week after I should be back and be reporting in as to what's going on. So we have a song coming up here, and then I believe, John Waterman, you're going to be live on the radio in your own show.
We'll be live with the Waterman Files.
Okay, and this is Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot Whistleblower Radio, projectcamelot.org.